And the Cavaliers have lost to the Boston Celtics. That makes it a 2-1 season series advantage for Boston, and it is freezing. It is 11:03 p.m. We are in the car of the parking lot for the Cleveland Cavaliers before I head home. I just want to get a couple quick thoughts out on tonight's game before we get in tomorrow and discuss this at much more length. But a couple takeaways. First and foremost, offensively, that was the worst offensive start to a game the Cavs have had all season. They had 6 points in the first 6 minutes of the game, and Kenny Atkinson with the two big lineup to start, and that was kind of my X factor going into the game. Cavs had to make Boston pay if they were going to play one big against Cleveland's two bigs, and the opposite happened. Cleveland could get nothing going from an offensive standpoint. Their rhythm, their shot selection was all subpar in the first quarter, and give Boston credit. They're a good defensive team. They deserve some of the attribution for what threw Cleveland off its game, and they're the defending champs for a reason. Like, people who were making a big deal out of the Celtics record, the team beat in the East still. Point blank period. They are still the team to beat in the Eastern Conference, despite the fact that if the season ended today, the Cavs would have the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. The East still runs through Boston, and don't get it twisted. Give the Celtics credit. They outplayed the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight. It showed a couple flaws that the Cleveland Cavaliers have, mainly their reliance on Dean Wade. Not just what Dean Wade brings as a player, but the ability for Dean Wade to give them some lineup versatility. Without Dean Wade in the lineup today, George Niang was the de facto third big. Tristan Thompson didn't play. Niang played almost 24 minutes, and not the best minutes. We'll just put it that way. Not the best. Defensively, George hustled. Some guys made some tough shots over George. He also was out of help position a couple of times. Atkinson had to use a timeout after George got lost on a switch to kind of reset the defense. And without Wade, they don't really have another option to play besides Niang, who, if he isn't having a good game, well, you're stuck having to rely on George continually because they don't have anyone else. So the over-reliance on Dean Wade as the roster is currently constructed, I think, is something that will probably be addressed one way or another by Kobe Altman come Thursday's deadline. On the other hand, from a defensive standpoint, take Niang out of the equation. This is an entire team issue. Porzingis just killed them. And it wasn't even the points, it was the overhelping. Porzingis on those pick and rolls after he made a couple of shots at the 8 to 10 foot range. Well, then the Cavs started overhelping and sending two guys and overcommitting, which then would lead to easy kickouts in the corner for Pritchard. Derrick White had one. Drew Holiday had two good looks. He missed one. Jaylen Brown hit one in the third quarter. And Kenny Atkinson talked about it afterwards. Hey, Porzingis is a damn good player. Like, we'll give him credit. This is not a knock or slight on Porzingis, but sometimes the easy kickouts to threes are more dangerous than Porzingis taking shots from inside the arc over outstretched defenders' arms. And it's a learning experience. I asked Donovan after the game, hey, Kenny said you guys overcommitted on Porzingis. How do you stay disciplined and not give up open shots when the guy currently has a decent look? And he said, hey, it's the regular season. We're still trying some stuff out, but you have to learn how to do this through reps. Practice is awesome, but they don't practice a ton in the NBA during the season because of the games, the wear and tear on the body, et cetera, et cetera. So to learn some of these things, you have to actually just kind of experience it in a real game situation. And tonight, they got a firsthand test at what they're going to have to do against some of the bigger bigs in basketball that do that. The Cavs also switch a ton defensively, and Kenny Atkinson tried to do some different things with different lineups, especially with Jarrett Allen. They had him on Drew Holiday at one point to force kind of the matchups they wanted from a defensive side of a standpoint. And when he was out, they were switching everything just to keep a man on a man and try to keep them in front of them. The defense wasn't the issue tonight, though. It was the offense. It was one of the worst shooting performances of the season, one of the worst and lowest offensive outputs of the season. And Boston's a good defensive team, but the Cavs also missed a ton of shots that they have typically been making this season. So all in all, a disappointing result. Give the Boston Celtics credit because they were the better team tonight. They are still the team to beat in the Eastern Conference. And the Cavaliers have some work to do to figure out how do we elevate ourselves to that level. The Cavs have crushed bad teams this season. Crushed them. But against the best teams that they have played, the Celtics, the Thunder, the Rockets, teams like that, they have about a 500 record. 0-2 against Houston. They're 1-1 against the Thunder, 1-2 against the Celtics. I'm forgetting another team. Oh, they beat the Knicks earlier in the season, but against their 4 or 5 top teams they've played, they're about 500, which is a far cry from being 40-10 against their entire season. Well, I forget what the exact number is, but they're like 32-6 against everyone else and 4-4 against the top couple teams they play. Whatever the number is, it doesn't exactly matter. But the point is, they haven't played their best against the best competition, and you know that may be a roster issue. That may be a. I see Earl's turning his car on. That's Earl's car right there for everyone. Earl drives a very nice car. But yeah, that's kind of my takeaway from the game. Nothing too crazy. I'm not going to overreact to one game, but I do think there are some big picture takeaways that are a little bit concerning for this Cavs team moving forward. Couple comments here, real quick. KW Outdoors says, "Oh well, season's over." Sarcasm. Thank you. We don't overreact to one game. Anise says, "At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how good this team is. They look like you have to show it in the playoffs." Yes. The Cavs have proven to be a great regular season team. They were a very good regular season team under JB Bickerstaff too. Didn't translate to the playoffs. We'll see if this is different. And Eduardo Chain says, "Is DeAndre Hunter to the Cavs realistic?" It is. It is realistic. It is absolutely realistic. The thing is, I have no clue what Atlanta would want back for DeAndre Hunter. None. I believe the Cavs have the assets to go get DeAndre Hunter, but I don't know if the Hawks want draft picks and young talent. I don't know if they want proven commodities. Atlanta does not own its first round pick this season, so they have no incentive to tank. So do they want young guys who won't play? Do they want proven guys to play so the record isn't as bad and they can make Antonio owns their first round pick this year from the DeJounte Murray trade? So we're going to talk about DeAndre Hunter tomorrow. I don't know what they want. So is it realistic? Yeah, it's absolutely realistic. They have the assets to acquire DeAndre Hunter. I just don't know what that package looks like. No idea. At least with Brooklyn and Cam Johnson, you know what they kind of want. Picks, young assets, something to build for the future. With the DeAndre Hunter situation, you have no idea. Hey, we're live right now. Say what's up to the people.
What's up to everybody, man? Appreciate everybody for tuning in, man. Type in tomorrow morning for the flagship show, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. We out. We done had a long ass day. Peace.
It is 11:10. I got one last comment to get to. The Nothing says the Cavs can't beat Boston in a 7-game series. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think they'd be underdogs for sure. Having home court advantage will help, but all 3 games against Boston this year have been close. The Cavs have come out on top in just one of those 3 games. They've lost the other 2, but it hasn't been an absolute demolition derby. I would pick Boston as of today, but I don't think it's impossible for the Cavs to beat this Boston team in a 7-game series. And Michael Castaneda says the pick and roll with switching players confused Cleveland. They could not counter. Yeah, it was a little weird how much they struggled because they've been pretty good against the pick and roll this season. Porzingis and the 4 shooters surrounding him certainly give matchup issues to a lot of teams. But yeah, I think the Cavs will be much better at that moving forward. Definitely a disappointing performance from that end of the court. And DeAndre Hunter will cost more than Cam Johnson, says Aaron. I disagree with that. I think it'll be a little less, but the Cavs have the assets to get DeAndre Hunter. He's having a really good season, averaging 19 points, 39% from 3 this year. He's not much of a corner 3 shooter, which is my only real concern with him in terms of how he fits in with the Cavs offense. But he certainly is attainable, at least in my opinion. I think they have enough assets to get him. But we'll talk about Cam Johnson, DeAndre Hunter, and the Cavs loss to the Celtics more in depth tomorrow on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. This was a quick post-game recap from my car. I said I was going to go 5 minutes. We went 9, but I am freezing. I am tired. And I got to be at the office at 6 a.m. So we will see you guys tomorrow. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Peace.